Hi guys, so today I thought I would show you this quick and simple card that you can do. I'm using the Endless Thanks stamp set from Stampin' Up. It is retired now, but you can do this with any sort of floral stamp sets. And what I'm really focusing on today is this variegated colour technique that you can achieve using a couple of different ink pads and some sponge daubers, so we'll get into it. So I've started off with a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I'm just taking one of the circle framelits and I'm just using it as a template so that I can create my wreath shape. So I'm just taking the framelit and a pencil, and I'm just very lightly drawing a circle onto my card, and that will just be my template. And then after we've done our stamping, then I'll be able to go in with a rubber afterwards and erase the marks away. So I've got this little sprig from the Endless Thanks stamp set, and I'm just going to be working with Old Olive and Bermuda Bay today, although you could use as many different colours as you would like. So I'm just going to fit the sponge dauber on my finger and then just pounce it onto the ink pad and then sponge it onto my stamp, and then with the Bermuda Bay go over the top. And if you can see on here, it's got this variegated colour with the Old Olive and the Bermuda Bay. And then I'm just going to stamp it onto my card like that. Okay, and then we're just going to work our way all the way around the wreath, doing exactly the same technique. I'd like to say at this point that it doesn't matter if it's not quite a perfect circle, because we're going to then end up filling in with the small leaf from the same stamp set. So then just inking up on your ink pad, then just start to fill in some of the gaps that you have. Okay, and when you're happy with all of your foliage, then we're just going to set this piece aside, and we're going to work on creating the flowers. So I've just got a scrap of the Whisper White cardstock that I'm going to be working on, and then afterwards after I finish stamping them, I'll cut them out. So I'm going to be working with Flirty Flamingo and Daffodil Delight. And again, I'm going to be creating a two-tone flower using the sponge daubers. So first of all, I'm going to ink up my Daffodil Delight sponge dauber, and then I'm just going to pounce in the centre of the flower. And then using the Flirty Flamingo, I'm then going to add the ink using the sponge dauber around the edge. And then when we stamp it, we get this really beautiful yellow centre changing into the flamingo on the outside. So we're just going to stamp a couple of these flowers. So I'm happy with these two flowers, and then before I go ahead and cut them out, I'm just going to take the small little daisy stamp, and I'm just going to stamp. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and cut these out. So I'm just going to bring back the wreath that we stamped earlier, and then just using a rubber, I'm just going to very lightly rub out the faint pencil line that we had. And then just to add a little bit more detail, I'm just going to sponge around the edges of my card, and I'm going to alternate with the Old Olive and the Bermuda Bay to create this kind of two-toned colour around the edge. This is a really good way of adding a little bit more colour and a little bit more depth to your card without actually adding another layer of cardstock. So it's a great money-saving technique, and it's just really effective. So back in with our two ink pads and our two sponge daubers, and then just alternating between the Old Olive and the Bermuda Bay, I'm just going to sponge around the edge of the card. I think it's quite nice to overlap the colours slightly so that you get a more transitional colour rather than it being very obvious where you change colours. Okay, so our border is now done, and then the final thing before we start assembling our card is to stamp the sentiment. So this is the thank you, also from the Endless Thanks stamp set, and I'm just going to use the sponge daubers again to create this variegated tone on the thank you. So here I've gone for the Old Olive down the centre of the stamp, and then on either side I've then blended it out into Bermuda Bay. Just like that. And then the final thing to do is to add a couple of dimensionals to the back of the flowers. And then just start adding them to your card. So the final thing to do is to add some snail to the back of the and then attach it to a Whisper White card base. This is a very easy mini card that you can make, either as a small thank you or to send to a customer maybe. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment. Thanks for watching. See you again next time. Bye.